Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Greg Harrelson here, and of course, my co-pilot and partner Abe Safa, and we just want to have another great conversation with the Real Geeks members and anyone else that might be listening. That has IDX, CRMs, leads, lead conversion. If those are subjects that are on your mind at any point in your real estate career, then you definitely want to kind of tune in. So we're going to be talking about lead conversion and going to kind of focus on some of the myths and talk about some facts about leads, because we see a lot of people making some assumptions or believing some things, having a perception about lead conversions that we know are not correct, and sometimes a little shift in how we approach or think about these things can have a significant impact on conversion. So, Abe, that was a lot for an introduction. Thank you for being here. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I think this is a good topic, Greg. And we're going to mention a couple of them. I think we've got 5 on the list. I don't know if we'll get through all 5 of them because honestly, each one could be a whole session on its own.
Yeah.
Right? Each one of these could be a whole conversation. So we'll try to dive in as much as possible with these.
Yes. Well, good. Well, why don't you just kick us off? So, first of all, with the title, okay, let's put some perspective here. Mm-hmm. What was on your mind with this title?
Well, I think the trying to get into an agent's mind, right? Some of the beliefs and myths that are out there that agents think when it comes to lead gen, when it comes to lead conversion. So there's what they think, and then there's the reality, right? So I kind of want to just filter through and create the distinction, to show the distinction between what most agents think, of course, not all of them, and then what the reality is. Like the first one would be, the first myth that I could think of is that new leads are better than old leads.
Yeah.
Right. So many agents will think, okay, they get so excited when a brand new lead comes in, but then they've got someone in their database, someone on Real Geeks that's actually been looking at property that doesn't get anywhere near the same attention as someone that's a brand new lead.
Yeah,
so the myth that a new lead is better than an old lead, and you've done some studies in the company as well, Greg. Maybe you could talk about it, where we took 3-year-old leads and saw how many of those converted. Just to prove that not every single new lead is going to be better than old lead. Not every single new lead is going to convert immediately. Some of them take a little bit longer. Some take 12, 24, maybe even 36 months to convert.
Yeah. There's a lot there to unpack, because you really said a lot, and it's extremely valuable in what you said. I mean, when it comes to just the thought that new leads are better than old leads, I will say, like, that is. Not only is that a myth, that is a story that real estate agents have made up in their mind to justify not calling the lead multiple times and following up multiple times. In other words, I think we made up this story. Oh, these are old leads. These are dead leads. These people are non-responsive. We made up this story. And then as soon as we say that those old leads are not any good, they're no good, then in my mind, I think we're so smart that, like, of course, well, if they're no good, then there's no reason to call them. If we actually said old leads are great and we didn't call them, then we would wonder, okay, what's wrong with me? But if you say old leads are bad, then calling old leads that are bad wouldn't make any sense. So I always feel like real estate agents, a lot of times in my experience in the coaching world, real estate agents have been really good at creating a story that lets them off the hook of doing some sort of activity. And here's my belief on new leads. New leads are actually bad. They're not actually better. They're worse. New leads are bad. All you have to do is ask 5 other agents who's had your new lead in their database for the last 2 years. Go call because I'm telling you, that lead, that new lead that we just got today is in 5 other agents' databases right now in your market. And there's 5 agents that would declare that lead is terrible. See, that your new lead is someone else's old lead. So that agent, there would be 5 agents in town saying that's an old lead and they're bad. That lead's bad. Now you got it as a new lead. How did the fact that you captured it today make it a good lead? It was always a good lead. It was the lack of activities and follow-up on that lead that made it bad for the agent. And if you get a new lead today and you don't call them 3 or 4 times to get them on the phone today, and then call them 2 more times or work a workflow on them, and you don't get them to respond, don't talk to them within the first couple of days, then they're also that new lead you'll declare it bad very quickly. And then when you declare it bad, all these people never return my call, then it makes sense to not actually pursue them anymore. And then it sits in our database, rots. Then we declare it a dead lead, a non-responsive lead. It's a bad lead. And then all of a sudden we're ignoring them. So the person then goes back into like some other website, becomes a new lead for the person across town. And this person's all excited. Oh my gosh, I got a new lead. This is great. And if they do their job, if they follow the rules for engagement and they set an appointment, they'll declare it's a good lead, but 5 of the people in town will have declared that's a bad lead. There's no such thing as good leads or bad leads. There's good strategies and tactics and bad strategies and tactics. Well, I kind of started off pretty aggressive, Abe.
Yeah, that was a good one, Greg. I mean, I love the idea that there is no new leads. I mean, think about it. All these companies out there that spend millions and millions and millions of dollars collecting data on people, right? How in the world can there possibly be a buyer that just shows up out of nowhere? Just all of a sudden came down from Mars, wants to buy a house in Myrtle Beach, right? And for the first time, they show up in your database. There is no new leads. I get this all the time. I'll get a home light lead, okay? And all of a sudden I recognize the name, I go in my database and I got that same lead from UpNest a year ago.
Yeah.
So almost everybody, like I might even be willing to say everybody, is in somebody's database somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, just because they showed up in your database today is no reason to get super excited, like, oh my God, this is the one. Okay.
Yeah.
The point is, look, get excited, but also be as excited about the people in your database already, in your Real Geeks account, already looking at property.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say, if you get a lead today that you set an appointment with, quite frankly, it's kind of lucky. Like your good lead today is some other agent dropped the ball on that lead. That's the only reason we got a good lead, got an appointment today on that lead, is because somebody else dropped the ball. And even though what I'm saying is kind of confronting, if we will adopt what I just said as a truth, and you'll change your perspective on leads, I promise you, you will increase your income by leaps and bounds. We just have to change our perspective. We got to tell a different story, because the stories influencing our activities. Tell a different story, we'll apply different activities, and we'll surely get different results. All right.
Okay. Number two.
So, oh gosh, I should say, let me add one more thing, because you actually brought up 2 points a moment ago that triggered in my mind, and that is, yes, we did some research, an extensive research. So in my Real Geeks account, we have approximately 200,000 people in our Real Geeks account, maybe even 250,000. It's a very large amount. And so when I do studies, if we do research on our Real Geeks account, we're doing it's pretty substantial research because of the volume of people that we have in our account. And here's what we found, that the conversion ratio from leads that were from zero age, like as in age, length of time, from 0 to 12 months, the conversion ratio was the same in 0 to 12 months as it was in 25 to 36 months. In other words, the conversion rate between year 2 and 3 was nearly equal to the conversion rate of year one. Now, between 1 and 2, there was a slow dip, but year 1 and year 2 to 3, the conversion rates were the same. So when it comes to like, are old leads bad? No, 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 no. Old leads are good. But the difference is we captured some leads in the buying phase, and then other leads are being captured in the dreaming phase. So the dreaming phase, they actually will be conversion between 24 and 36 months. The buy-in phase will be conversion between 0 to 6 months, and the exploratory phase, in my opinion, is the conversion between 6 and 12 months. So I just wanted, that was the point on the study.
So here's a solution, Greg.
Okay.
Instead of getting a lead and talking to them and determining whether they want to sell now or buy now or not, and let that be the deciding factor on how you judge that lead, every single lead should be looked at in a 36-month period. Every single person you talk to, you should go in with the attitude that this person is going to buy within the next 36 months. Let me figure out where they are in that cycle. Or selling, this person is going to sell within the next 36 months. Let me figure out where they are in the cycle, as opposed to going in with thinking, okay, new lead, I'm expecting to buy or sell now. They're not, lead sucks, click. Right? So it's a shift in mindset. Number one, you're going to get better results. Number two, you're going to have better conversations with leads. And then number three, you're going to be a whole lot less frustrated because you kind of understand the whole process, and you're okay if someone's not buying for a year and a half from now, okay, going in. And that's how you build a pipeline. That's how you have now business and future business. So I think that's the solution, to stop trying to put everybody or pigeonhole everybody into a buying or selling right now. Look at it all as everything is a 3-year cycle. As a matter of fact, according to Zillow, they're saying that 1 in every 7 homeowners is going to sell within the next 3 years. Wow. That's almost 15% of every single homeowner.
Yeah.
So that's the time period that we should be looking at for every single.
And what year? In how many years? In 3 years?
In 3 years, 1 in 7 are going to sell within 3 years.
Yeah. So that fit right into your 36 months. So I love that you're kind of telling a new story, right? And when you tell that story, then like, I'm not let down. If I talk to somebody and they're like, well, look, we're just kind of like at the beginning stage, we're probably a year out, I'm not let down. I don't feel like, oh, I don't judge that lead, because my expectation and my understanding is every lead is somewhere in a 36-month process. And it doesn't really matter, because on month 36, I'm still going to want a commission check, right? So it's like, it doesn't really matter. And this is kind of like the difference in trying to chase in money versus building wealth. It's like, I understand we need to make a check today, right? And we're in that position. Well, one of the solutions to not being always feel like we need to make a sale is by making sure that we look at our database in a longer term. The frustrating thing is we need a sale, so then we're always looking for the sale today, and we're neglecting all those sales over the next 24 to 36 months. And I'm not minimizing the stress that somebody might have financially in needing a sale, but just put this in perspective. What Abe said, I think, is brilliant. Every lead is an opportunity within a 36-month period. Now you got to figure out, well, what is my 36-month plan? And that's why something like Real Geeks, the CRM, is so important, because in order to properly follow up for 36 months, you've got to use the automation. That's where workflows, advanced search filters, retargeting on Facebook, all of that stuff is critical. Email templates, text templates, using the video, texting or emailing videos, all of these tools that you have within Real Geeks, you have to utilize them in order to efficiently and effectively stay in communication over 36 months. What's the next one you have?
Number 2.
We knew we wouldn't get to 5. You were right.
We kind of dove into number 2 a little bit.
Okay.
X leads sucks, or X lead source sucks, and fill in a blank for X, whatever it may be.
Okay.
Home likes, yes. Realtor.com, whatever lead source. The one I hear a lot of complaints about is bold leads out there, right? Everybody likes to complain about certain leads, right? It's not the leads. It's your expectations of the leads.
Yes.
It's never the leads. What are your expectations when you make the call? Again, if you're thinking, okay, if they're ready now, then they're great. If they're not, then they suck. 98, 99% of everybody you talk to is going to suck. Right?
Yeah.
So change your expectations. It's not the lead source. Change your expectations. Change your nurturing process. And then all of a sudden you start to see miraculous things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you said bold leads. I was walking out and I was talking to Kenny. And he goes, yeah, man, I just took another listing from bold leads. He just like the listing that we got texted to us just a little while ago. He goes, yeah, there's my bold lead one. You know, it all comes down to, you got to be thinking within 36 months, I can make a sale. That is so spot on.
And do the math. Like, if you don't believe us, do the math. Go back and look at your lead source, a lead source that you've been doing for at least 3 years, and look at how many converted in the first 30 days, how many converted in 6 months, how many converted in a year, all the way to 3 years. And you're going to see how that number drastically grows when your time period increases.
Mm-hmm.
Another example I'll give you is, this year I started tracking how long it takes me on average from the first communication with a potential seller to when they've listed. For everybody that I've listed so far this year, and the average is 365 days.
Mm-hmm.
For every single listing I've taken for the entire year, from the moment I've spoken to them to the minute that they listed with me, on average, it took 365 days.
Yeah. Hey, Abe, I want to switch gears,
Sure.
and talk about, like, you saw a study, I believe, it might've been Dave Ramsey, and, about, there's this concern. We'll see it, like, I'm very careful in the Facebook page what I post, because if I post something and a lot of people don't like it, then it just kind of starts this drama, and I don't like that. I don't like the social media arguing. So I tend to stay as neutral as I can, just to not contribute to that. But one of the things that I see get people stirred up on the Facebook page sometimes is when, somebody says, hey, how many times do you call? If you call somebody and they don't answer, how long before you call them back? They'll say something, they'll ask a question like that. And then somebody will chime in and say, well, you need to call them 6 or 7 times. And then that's where it starts. Oh my gosh, I'd never do that. If somebody did that to me, I would spam them. I would call them and cuss them out. There's always these conversations. These people have this fear that if you make multiple attempts to reach a new lead, that's actually going to tick the person off. But the survey or the research shows something differently. Can you share those? Because this is another myth, I think, that leads to a roadblock for agents.
Yeah. The myth is I'm bothering them if I call multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is you're not. And the study shows that, right? So people are just not picking up their phone anymore like they used to.
Yes.
Okay.
Period.
Our phone, we've become numb to this thing right here, this device, because it's constantly ringing, it's constantly dinging, it's constantly, something's always coming in, whether it's social media, whether it's text messaging, it's constantly something. So we become numb to it. So if someone calls us and we don't recognize the number, we don't pick up. That's normal. That has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with their interest or lack of interest in working with you or anybody else. Plain and simple. You have to understand that and really accept that. So go into the study. Dave Ramsey did a study. They took 14,000 leads of theirs. These are Dave Ramsey leads. Okay. And what they found out, and they asked them questions based on how aggressive an agent was. And what they found out is this: making 6 or more calls gets you connected with over 90% of your leads. 6 or more calls gets you on the phone with them. Okay. The industry average is 10 to 15%. So you want to increase your business 100, 200, 300, 500 times than what you're doing right now? Just call them 6 times or more. Okay. And then you know what? Keep track of how many are actually pissed off, because I guarantee you it'll be a very, very small amount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 6+ attempts get you connected with 90% of the people. Okay. Here's where it gets interesting. 63% of the people that got 7 or more calls still had a favorable rating of that agent. 63% still had a favorable rating of that agent that called them 7 or more times, and only 10% had a bad rating. Okay, so fine. You make 7 attempts. Now you're reaching 90% of them. 63% are very happy. You lose 10% of them. You would have never got them on the phone to begin with.
Yep.
Right. And then the third stat is 91% of people that got 6 or more calls said that they would work with that agent. Again, 90% rule. Okay, call them 6, 7 times. A couple are gonna be not very happy with you. It's okay. It's part of doing business. The alternative is that you only talk to 10% of them, and you're leaving, triple, quadruple the amount of business on the table. So 91% said that they will go with that agent. They actually like the aggressiveness of that agent and feel like that they're going to be someone that they want to work with. So those are the stats.
I think that's key, Abe. I think that last statement there is they like the aggressiveness of the agent. I mean, it's like your attempt to reach them is almost like you're auditioning for the job of earning their business, and you're showing that you are going to work hard for them. I mean, I actually think that there's some sort of factor there that comes into play. I also think that out of those 10% that were not too happy, and this statistic is probably not there, but I bet you that the 10% that are not happy, I bet you the conversion rate of any agent ever doing a deal with them in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years is really low compared to the ones that were happy. In other words, the ones that were like you called them 6+ times and they said, yes, I'm going to work with that agent. It's because they're busy, but they want to do the transaction. The 10%, I believe, that were like, oh gosh, I don't know, they called me too much. Those are the ones who were busy, but never really had an intention of doing a transaction. That's why it bothered them. It bothered them because they didn't really have a motivation to do a transaction. The ones that you are calling that are happy, they're happy because, well, gosh, you're making their life easier. At least they don't have to be calling 6 or 7 times to reach you, which would be frustrating. You're doing all the heavy work. You're carrying the heavy load. You're reaching out to them, giving them an opportunity to do exactly what they want to do, which is to buy or sell a piece of property. So it's just an absolute myth. Go ahead.
Let me give you one more piece of information. I don't have concrete data on this, but I'm basing it on experience, right? Because you and I, yes, we're teaching this, we're coaching this. It's not like all we do is coach. We're actually in the business and we make calls ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. I bet you if you take on this strategy and make more attempts to reach people, not only will you do more business, keep track of how many people actually get mad at you and keep track of how many people actually apologize for not getting back to you. And I bet you'll have more people that apologize than people that get mad at you.
I bet that's true. I wouldn't take that bet.
I know you get this all the time. I get it all the time. I'm so sorry, Abe. I've been really busy. How about we talk 2 days from now? I get more of those than I get, what in the world are you doing calling me 6 times?
Yeah. Remember, as I said in the beginning, a lot of times agents, we have the tendency to make up a story that justifies us not doing an activity. This is a myth that majority of the people that are worried that somebody's going to get mad have never actually done this. So it's just a myth. It's just a fear. But the reality is that for those that do it, they don't experience what others fear that they could experience. These people have signed up. Everyone's expecting a call these days. Nobody puts their information into a CRM without expecting a call. They all expect a call these days. You know that. When you don't want someone to call you, when you just want free information, you don't put your real telephone number in. You don't put your real email in, or you put a bogus email that you just use just for spam. So if these people are putting their real information in, they're doing it because they expect you to call. Okay, Abe. Well, we didn't get through all of them, but we're going to be here next week, and maybe we'll continue this. Maybe we'll think of something new. But I sure do appreciate you taking the time to be with me today. And for those of you in Real Geeks, thank you for taking the time to be with us. And if you're watching this after the fact, then make sure you put comments and ask some questions. If there's anything that we can share, we'll definitely monitor this. And if you have not heard, you need to be joining Real Geeks Mastery Coaching, which is where Abe and I on a weekly basis, we do a group coaching with just Real Geeks people, and we share with them the strategies that we use to actually leverage the technology and increase our ROI. So if you want a more mastery level learning of Real Geeks, please consider Real Geeks Mastery. Abe, thank you so much.
Enjoyed it, Greg. Thank you all for watching.
Bye, everybody.